What are you doing to maintain the relationships with the people you have helped sell or buy in the past? What's happening? J.C. Agajanian here, broker associate with the Whissel Realty Group at eXp, bringing you the breakdown of the Monday Morning Mastermind as we do every week. It's put on by the Fast Forward Network, an amazing group of hundreds of agents, both entry-level and complete team leads in the most highest producing levels you could ever imagine, all getting together every Monday to talk about production-oriented questions and answers. So today we've got some good ones. We've got topics surrounding a post-closing campaign. What are you going to do to take care of people once you've gotten them across the finish line? We've got a topic surrounding the generation of leads in a small community, not a bigger city like the one we live here in San Diego. And farming on a budget. How are you going to make contact with people in a specific neighborhood without breaking the bank? So let's get straight into the first one as usual. Let's talk about a post-closing campaign. Well, first of all, as the name sounds, it's an entire campaign that needs to be built out. So you need to have multiple points of contact each and every year in order to maintain contact and simply to maintain memorability. I mean, there have been studies that say people had a great experience with their agent and they would definitely use them again, but they don't because they just don't even remember who they are or how to get in touch with them. That is what we're fighting here. We want to take so much work, the hard effort that we put into earning that client, converting them, getting them across the finish line, helping them to be happy in their new home or happy with the sale of their home. But now to never be seen or heard from again is crazy. It is so much easier to maintain relationships with past clients and earn business from them again in the future than it is to go out and meet somebody new and start from scratch all over. So start an actual campaign. How many times is your past clients going to hear from you each year? Obviously, the idea is to provide as much value as possible to your past clients. Think about what they need. I mean, they've just bought a home. So what are some of the first steps we can do to help them out? What if we consider a cleaning person right away at closing, take care of the house for them? That's something that they need almost undoubtedly. And that's something we can follow up with and help them out with. You can offer them a handyman or a painter, and you can stagger out the immediate drip from when you first close on an escrow and let it feather into the entire annual process that you plan on doing every year. So I personally have two different campaigns. I have one that follows directly after we close escrow, and that's unique to a recent closing. And then I have one that is for all past clients each and every year, and they all have a ton of touches in them. So you want to make sure that every single past client that you've ever worked with is definitely going to be on that invitation list to hopefully your quarterly events that you're doing every year. If you're not doing them on your own, maybe that's something you can figure out for yourself. If you're part of a large team that offers them, congratulations. That's one of the pieces of value you're getting from your team lead, which is the idea of throwing those quarterly events. I actually do a blend of both. I'm on a team that has amazing quarterly events that take place. I also have a much smaller, more intimate thing that I do on my own. It's a happy hour type of get together, and people love, and there's a different type of group, different type of vibe that happens, but there's always people hearing from me, reaching out to invite them to something for free multiple times per year. Nothing in return asked. We're not selling anything. It's just, here you go. There are all kinds of things you can do. You can do electronic recycling days. You can do Christmas tree pickups for the neighborhood. The sky's the limit with things that you can do. Pick something you like and just do it consistently, and then build out a campaign around it. Include physical mailers, include electronic mailers, include social media posts, include phone calls, include text messages. Build a whole campaign around each and every event that you do, and people will be hearing from you all the time, and they will never forget about you like those people in the survey that we talked about in the beginning of the clip. Video messages. Keep video messages consistent. You've got to have, at least like a monthly newsletter that goes out in lieu of a physical paper one that you're sending to people in the mail, right? You got to be keeping your clients and past clients up to date on the market, what's going on with inventory levels, with the rates that are taking place. I mean, this is the very basic. And then there ought to be more on top of that they're receiving from you as well with one of the reach outs that you make and offer. Inexpensive, cheap little touches go a really long way. On top of the events that we throw and on top of the handwritten notes that are actually pretty powerful for an anniversary, for a home anniversary, for a birthday, for a kid's birthday, we do all of those every year. But in addition to those, we're sending out quarterly gifts as well to stay top of mind. And these don't have to be big, expensive gifts. We use a company called Client Giant. They've got a quarterly system that goes out with something reasonable every month. They've got kind of a deluxe package that you can do if you really want to go all out and do a nice closing gift with, babysitters and movies and all this stuff. There's all kinds of different things that you can do. A company like Client Giant is great for automated gifting and people appreciate them. Incorporate your follow-ups in sequence with those giftings. You just happen to be giving them a call to follow up. You're not fishing for thank yous, but maybe you make your phone call to these clients that are on this list a week or two after they arrive, and it's going to be a much warmer call, right? When you call those people just to say hi and see how they're doing. Maybe see if they know anybody who might be looking to sell or buy their house while they're at it, right? There's alternatives you can do as well. You can come up with your own thing. You can just send simple monthly mailers and then maybe drop little gifts in them. Like lottery tickets are always popular. There's other little gift certificates or things you can do that are inexpensive, but create a knowledge that there's more than just paper in this envelope, especially if you use an envelope that stands out. They know where it's coming from because you've got a return address and your information on the back, but they also have a very distinctive, bright, possibly, envelope so that they know this one's coming from you. And then you also train them when it comes from me, there could be some money in there or there could be something else. Like that's a great way to get people's attention because mere open rates are something that we need to address, even with people that we know, like, and trust, even with people that have trusted us with the sale or purchase of their home. Open rates are still an issue, so this is one way to get around that. A great way to make an impact is to show you really care and create like a wow moment for these clients. One way that people can do this is by hiring a portrait photographer. You could have a photographer come to the home mere weeks after they've closed escrow and moved in and everything is brand new and set to go, and now it's like, let's have a professional photographer come shoot our family in this new home of ours to set the memory of this time that is so positive of moving into either their first home or this new big home or whatever the case may be. If you can get access to the house before the client moves in, maybe you've got a little time there before they get in there, you could try stocking the fridge for them. I mean, this is a cool idea that I'd never heard anyone come up with before today's mastermind. I've actually heard of the photographer idea before, but this one was a great one. Getting a bunch of goodies, maybe from Trader Joe's or something like that, some champagne, some beer in there, some treats, some fun drinks for the kids, whatever the case. But if you pile $200 or $300 worth of fun stuff in that fridge before they even move in, and now you know what it's like when you're moving into a new home, dealing with all the stuff, dealing with getting settled, figuring out, in the midst of these 2 or 3 days, what am I going to eat? Well, shoot, my realtor just put a bunch of stuff in that fridge that is great. And that is something that you will probably never be forgotten if you do something like that. Another way that we stay in touch with our past clients, and one of our multiple touches that take place throughout the year, is by sending the full closing statement for any client that purchased that previous year to them. The physical statement, in addition to the electronic statement, goes out in the mail around January time each year. So that way, when tax time comes, which is only a few months off at that point, and they're beginning to get prepared in January anyways, they've got an important piece of paper that's going to go towards those taxes when the time comes. And we know there's a good chance they probably pitch the thumb drive that you gave them or the big stack of paperwork that they've got with their closing statements. There's a good chance that stuff isn't readily available when their CPA asks for it. So you're going to come through looking like a hero, have them go, hey, by the way, you're probably going to need this in the next couple months here. Handwritten thank you notes. You could delay that out as well. Obviously, you want to do something at closing with your clients, but something like that a month or so post-closing is going to have an impact. Finally, before we move on to another topic that we covered this morning, the idea of a small sign in the yard, whether it's your listing or not, that says sold, welcome home, maybe a picture of you with some keys or a cartoon picture of you with some keys, just something fun, almost like the graduation things that you see in signs when kids are finishing high school, something like that can get in the yard. Of course, it's branded to you, so even if somebody else's sign is still up right there, it says welcome home with your branding on it, and it's just one more nice touch for the buyers when they do come home for the first time. There's lots more we can do and talk about when it comes to staying in touch with your clients on an ongoing basis. We have got tons of touches involved in our past client campaign. We've actually got 47 touches throughout the year going out to our past clients every single year. Fortunately, a lot of it can be automated, and so it's not me physically doing every single thing. But boy, if that doesn't keep me top of mind, help me receive those referrals and past client business, then I don't know what will. So I encourage you to get out there and do that yourself. Moving on, we're going to talk about generating listings in a small community. First, you've got to start with some clean, crisp branding. Small towns, I feel like, not having lived in one before, they seem like they open up opportunity to take a lot of the really clever, forward-thinking, competitive things that we have to do in bigger cities and bring them to a small town. And I would think that the people that are doing these things are going to be able to truly excel quickly and far beyond their competitors who are not tapping into how competitive it is in larger markets and taking those ideas and applying them to small towns, right? So that concept alone is huge. If we get out of the small town electronically but stay there physically, and so we're using these big city ideas and coming in with the small town thinking, I think it could be a phenomenal blending of the approaches. So like I said, you got to start with clean, crisp branding. Got to make sure that you're communicating the right message with how you want to present yourself and your business to the people of this town. Google Business is going to be a huge pillar for you in a smaller community. It's going to be easier for you to stand out in a small town, especially if you do the basics. I mean, you've got to get your review count up. You've got to get tons of them. And if you have any amount of years in the business and you really haven't spent a lot of time asking your past clients to help you on Zillow or help you on Google My Business when it comes to reviews, it's as simple as putting a campaign together. You start expressing the importance of it. You ask people to help you out with a review. Ask them to recall back to what it was like going through that transaction with you. And if you need to, maybe hang a carrot out there like a gift card or something like that. Like, you can incentivize people to get your reviews up one way or another. So that's hugely important with your Google My Business page, is to get those reviews up first. Then you can run ads pretty inexpensively, especially in a smaller town, and you will get noticed right away. I mean, first you put the time into setting up your branding right, your messaging, everything that you want to communicate to the community. Now you've gotten your reviews up so that when someone does land on your Zillow page, or better yet, your Google My Business page, they're going to realize, wow, a ton of people have worked with this person already. There is some solid social proof going on. And now this ad seems to just coincide with what I need right now. It got my attention, got me to this page. Let's keep moving forward. Like, can you see the mentality going behind the prospect in that situation? I think so too. When it comes to Google My Business, one thing we are trying to do more and more of, but a lot of people are already killing, is just treating that site like another one of your social media web pages. We go out of our way to make regular postings and to create content for YouTube Shorts, for Instagram, for Facebook, for TikTok, for Reels, whatever the case may be. Add Google My Business to that platform so that you're always updating it with new information and adding content. Google will appreciate it, and it will help you more organically to be noticed when people are online searching for your product or service. Finally, one of the major things you can do is go big on open houses in a small community. Not everybody has even been exposed to the concept of a mega open house in a town that doesn't have huge populations and mega agents running them in it. And so what do we mean by that? We mean put a little time and money into it, right? Maybe you're going to have it completely catered by professionals. You're probably going to want to do a special neighbors only period where the public isn't aware of these hours, and you've just gone around and you door knocked and you've dropped flyers and you've made phone calls and you've made invitations out to this community only to get them to the open house by themselves without the public. They're going to benefit from the catering. Maybe you've got a food truck, maybe you've got wine and cheese, something else going on inside the property. Then you're going to go big with the open house to the public, and you're going to offer them something unique as well. Going big on open houses is another way to really stand out in a smaller town where maybe this is not very common for people to see stuff like this. And if you become well known for that, let's say that you really adopt a farm, you press into your community, they're going to know that when they see your name and your sign, it's time to party. The fun is coming, and it's time to hang out, see people who live on the block, have something to drink, have some good food, and just take it easy. And that's what you want, is people to be attracted to your opens and to know that your brand means it's going to be fun, it's going to be inviting. Keep that stuff in mind as we move on to our final topic for today, which is farming on a budget. Related but different. We're talking about really going in on a specific neighborhood, whether you're in a small town or a big town. And obviously one way to reduce the budget in any sort of farming activity is to go to digital as opposed to physical, right? Getting things in the mail to people is expensive, and you have to do any sort of farming with regularity and consistency. You have to keep it up. So it's a lot less expensive to do that with online ads. Obviously, the tried and true "what's your home worth" or some variation of that is a great online selling lead. People have adapted that from the old advertorial campaigns in newspapers and different things that are done on postcards as well. And now this is clearly being done online to generate leads. You can start with a light ad spend and move up from there, or you can try and lean into a organic type of response, but ad spend is definitely going to get you a lot more yield than anything organic up until you have a significant following behind you. Again, we're going to lean on video a lot. You've got to be a regular contributor, making content that is valuable to people. LinkedIn has some return on investment coming from the ads that people are putting in right there. Believe it or not, Facebook is getting a lot of traction on Reels. There's a lot of different ways you can go to find the people that you're looking for. But YouTube ads are actually another one as well to not sleep on, right? Especially, picture this. You've got a kid, mom's busy in the kitchen or whatever, and the kid is just looking at YouTube all day long, and mom can hear what they're looking at. And oh, guess what? There's an ad that comes in that's talking about real estate that mom sees or overhears while the kid is watching their show. Like it's a great idea if you can target your ads that way. Postcards can be expensive, like I mentioned before, but they can also be added in to reinforce that brand awareness that we are looking for, depending on your schedule and how frequently you're putting out mailers and what you are doing with your campaign overall. Just like we were talking before on the last topic, you've got to have a strong push to get a substantial amount of reviews out of as many of your past clients as possible. It is truly a game changer when that social proof is there for people to pull up and realize how many different people have reviewed you in a positive fashion, right? Farming is not just physical, like I mentioned in the beginning. We're talking about all these digital ways to go about it, but another way to do farming is with a Facebook group or something similar that you can just focus in on that neighborhood that you're meaning to reach and drive people to it. One way you can do it is with unbranded flyers that are not saying, "Hey, I'm a realtor, call me. Hey, this is my name," but just, "Hey, check out this cool group for our neighborhood only," and just make the branding to that group. You're just offering something of value to the people. And if you're going to have a door knock drop instead of a door knock, you're going to do a lot better by just paying somebody to do that instead of spending your own time, because your time and energy is worth a lot more than the teenager who you can pull from the local school to go drop these things off for minimum wage or less, right? So if you're just going to door drop something like that, have it done. If you're going to hard knock and try and have conversations with people, you should do that on your own, because that subtle difference there between just leaving something and trying to talk to somebody makes the difference of how significantly important it is for your time versus how significantly unimportant it is for your time. So keep that in mind. That's kind of a side note there. But yeah, let's say you don't know any teenagers. Email the local college. Ask the professors if they have any students that are looking for some side work. People will do this stuff for you, no problem. They'll stuff envelopes, they'll drop flyers. You might even get them to make some phone calls for you. So lean into the local student body and take advantage of people who would be happy to do a little bit of side work and knock out your project for you so you don't have to do it. When we talk about farming, open houses are a huge piece of this puzzle. I mean, what you want to do is really decide where are you going to be focused on, and then make sure you have as much awareness about yourself and your business as possible. And what a better way to do that than to do an open house in that farm and to have a ton of signs in that neighborhood with your name and your phone number on them. We have like 50 signs that we use for a single open house. I don't use every single one of them every time, but I've got them at my disposal, and I rarely go and put out less than 25 of them. Usually I'm doing 20 to 30 signs minimum. Sometimes I'm using all the signs I've got to fill up a neighborhood so people can't help but to see my name and phone number all over the place. It's a huge help if you're really trying to farm, and it doesn't cost you anything. You pay once for your signs, and unless you lose them or you really have a significant branding change, you're going to be able to use those signs for a long time in your farm to make brand awareness better for you. You know, a great way to fill in gaps for data points that you may have some information from, like maybe you've got a bunch of home addresses that you have a little bit of information on, but you don't quite know who owns them or how to contact that person with phone or email. Well, there are fantastic paid services that you can use, just like the white pages used to be back in the day, except it's online, and it's not really free anymore. So, you know, White Pages now has a paid version. There's Intellius, there's True People Search. There's all kinds of services you can use to track people down and get that information and have a nice, neat, tight database, which is what you are going for when you're creating this farm. Of course, you should use the phone. You're going to be cold calling people. You're also going to be using it to make simple videos that you're going to be posting online or sending to people directly. Use every feature of the phone to reach these people, and we need to be creative with how we do that as well. We've talked about Facebook groups for the neighborhood only, but we haven't talked about maybe a seemingly random type of Facebook group. Like, what if you have a group based around a specific hobby? One agent raised her hand and said, hey, you know what, I'm really into gardening, and I made a group that was all about gardening, and it's for gardening for people within this area. I made it very strict. There's no marketing or prospecting or sales in this group, but we've got lots of people that live in the area that like to talk about gardening, and I add as much value as I can by helping contribute to talk about gardening in the neighborhood. She is adhering to her own rules by not putting out a bunch of advertising for her real estate business in this group. But she's the administrator, and she has the ability to make relationships with every single person that joins this group. And then if she happens to be in a DM with somebody and real estate comes up, you can follow the natural conclusion. So that's a great idea that we heard this morning as well, that you can take and use at your will. You know, you don't have to create your own group though. If you just stumble across a group that's focused on the area that you want to work on, and it happens to be another hobby like this, something different that's not just people talking about business all the time, but it's a hobby that you're passionate about, you can just become a major contributor to one of these other groups. And there's multiple occasions where we've heard of other people being asked to be administrators just because of how high the involvement has become from that person just answering questions and being a resource for people. So you could actually move into another group that fits what you're doing, fits your likes, fits your hobbies, your interests, and your neighborhood, and you can actually become an admin, or at least even without becoming an admin, you can become a top contributor and a go-to person within that group, whereby you will be making natural connections and relationships with people that live in your neighborhood. So we're thinking big, we're trying to work a little bit small with these topics today. I hope you have found value in them as usual. I hope you've got something that you can implement into your business surrounding your post-closing campaign, surrounding generating listings in a smaller community, and farming on a budget. I hope there's something that you can take and implement into your business today, not just fill your head full of knowledge. Let me know if you've got any questions or comments. I would love to chat with you. Send me a message right here below, and I'll talk to you soon.